Okay, Maritza, in one word, describe yourself and why.
So, are we already here?
Yes, yes,
Okay. So, in one word, I can describe myself as inspirational.
I agree. I have to agree with that one. I agree.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm working. I'm working hard, really, to inspire others to try their best, and
Mm.
this is really my motivation every morning. Huh. In the social media, for example, how
Yes,
can I do? What can I do to bring something different than all the bad news that we see all the time?
absolutely.
So I just go and put in my birds and birds that I see in nature. I have birds that come a bit further, so that are coming more and more. So I create a poem. I try to inspire each morning, or at least every day, or once a week, with a
Hmm.
poem that inspire you to do a little bit better, to find yourself, the best self of you, and
Yeah.
that is my motivation, really.
Yeah. Well said. Now, Maritza, did you always have a passion to write?
Actually, I didn't know until I just started writing. When I wrote my first memoir and I had my first interview, I remember that somebody asked me that. And I'm so glad they asked me because it made me go back to when did I started writing. And I found out that since I was in college,
Hmm.
actually around my teenage years, because what I did, I was studying, I love acrostic poems, and I love to write poems, acrostic poems for my friends.
Yeah, because it comes from within.
Yeah, so I saw my closest friends, any situation here and there, and I took his or her name and write a poem. When it was her, because I studied in high school in a girls' school, Catholic school.
Hmm.
And one day I found out a poem that I sent to one of my friends, the draft from my teenage friends. I said, wow, I really started writing without knowing when
Hmm.
I was 15.
15.
Yes. And the second part that I had to give credit is my mother, because by that time, between the 12 to 15, we visited for the first time the United States when I was 12. I'm from Colombia,
Yes.
Bogota. And when I was 12, I met for the first time my relatives from my maternal side, my aunts and uncles and cousins. So when I came back to my hometown, my mom told me you had to send them thank you cards, thank you letters. And at that time, it was not thank you cards; it was a thank you letter, thank you note. And I remember I said, "What I'm going to say?" As and my mom said, "Tell them how these Mexicans find you well."
Hmm.
This is the first line, and then tell that something about you, and then say goodbye, salutation, and agree, and a message, and then agree. And I was like, okay, so all my letters since I was 12 and my notes started with that sentence. I hope this message sends you well.
Hmm.
And I think it's a good way to communicate with people, to start not give me this, do this, go there.
Right.
But first think of the other person and hoping that this person is fine. So I think it started to develop with those two simple ways: a salutation
Hmm.
in a note, in a thank you card, in a letter, and acrostic poems for my friends.
And it even today, with computers and technology, whatever happened to the old way of just writing a letter to somebody and sending it instead of texting, doing it on the computer. You get more a genuine feeling when you actually literally just write it. The old writing a nice letter,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes, exactly. Yes, yes. This is something that is sometimes we are forgetting that
Yeah.
with the instant message and all the technology that we have. We are forgetting that part.
Yes. Especially especially during the holidays. It's nice to go back and because my aunt still does that. She writes. And it's just a nice warm, feeling of actually getting a letter, not just an
Mhm.
email, you know.
Exactly. Yes.
And so it's nice. Now, what did you find out or find in writing that motivated you, or even inspired you?
Uh, when I became a mother,
Okay.
because
Or should I say Mrs. M? No,
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 no, no.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Uh, when I became a mother, and my kids were around between the ages 1 to 3,
Mm-hmm.
I went to the library. My English at that time wasn't not good at all. So I went to the library to find books in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find children books in Spanish. The books that I wanted, I couldn't find it. I wanted books that I instill in my kids values like love, tolerance, respect. Those are big things for a little kid.
Yes.
So, but I was in my mind thinking we have to have books that that build those skills and those values in our children, and I couldn't find it. So my writing skills came developed at that time because I wrote, and it's funny because since we are here
Mm-hmm.
sitting, I can show you. I wrote in just a piece of paper or a story. Then my husband told me, you must type those stories for the future. And I type it in a simple page, the story. And I type it and I type the story because anytime that I tell the story to my son,
Mm-hmm.
when he hear me telling the story to my daughter, then she was 1 and he was 3, she corrected me. I said, no, 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 it goes like this. So because I change one word
Yeah.
or I change a little bit the scenery or I change something, he memorized it,
Mm.
the stories. And I said, oh my goodness, this little one. So I have to tie the stories. I have to memorize it too. So I don't change the story,
Right.
the storyline. And those stories, those 5 stories, stayed in this envelope for 20 years.
20 years.
Yes. Then my kids entered to high school. Uh, they were in the IP program. It's something similar, the baccalaureate program. And they needed to have a project. My daughter needed a project for those years, for 11 and 12 a year. And my son told me, what about if you create the illustrations for my mom for the stories? He was the inspiration. And, and
Mm.
I'm so glad that they were at that time uh, 15, 18, and I still remember those stories.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I was impressed. I totally forgot about those stories.
Well, you think about that.
And well,
Yeah.
my daughter did her first project. It was the first story, vanilla and chocolate, and she created the illustrations.
That's awesome.
Not bad.
That is really awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome.
And this is me.
That's you.
This is
That's
her
awesome.
vision on me.
Yeah.
Then she like, I love it, and I pay for her. And I say, okay, let's go to the second story, because it was in honor of my grandmother that turned 100 years old. So I said, we need to write something to grandma,
Yes.
great grandma, and this is the story. This is a real story. One day, grandma came to visit us, and these two guys started to fight for one toy. They had the room. They had the room full of toys, but they wanted the same toy.
Of course.
And grandma got a little upset
Mm-hmm.
and silent, and went to her rocking chair and started thinking of her life. How when she was a child, she only had one doll, not 10 dolls, one doll, and one harmonica.
Hmm.
And how happy she was with
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
And that is the inspiration of this story. That's why I wrote it.
Yes.
And I asked them, do you want me to write down that story? Because when I present this story, I'm going to talk about you, how you behave when you were 1 and 2 years old. Go ahead, Ma. You have my permission.
That is awesome.
So I wrote the story. Later on, I published story with a professional illustrator,
Purple shell.
because I wanted to surprise my daughter with this story that it was created for her, the purple shell.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the beach one day. We were having so much fun. When we entered, the beaches were all polluted with garbage.
Mm.
My daughter was so upset that we started to clean up the area where we were. We ended working instead of enjoying the beach. And then I told her, let's stop. This is fine. We cannot do anything else. Go enjoy the beach. And when she entered to the beach, she found a purple shell. I'm going to tell the rest of the story. So, and for me, the stories developed my journey. It was when I was a teenager, and the journey of my daughter as an illustrator started when she was a teenager.
Nice.
And my son actually an editor, and I joined to the boat of my journey, my husband, and he is the developer of my website.
Mm-hmm.
And I started promoting my books and open my website, and here I am,
That's
10
awesome.
years after.
That's
10
great.
books 10 books and 10 years after.
That's fantastic. Now, when you created your first book, what was your process before like becoming a self-publisher or even having a publisher? So what was your process of getting it together?
the At the beginning, it was like that simple piece of paper, and develop the story, so simple. Then when I decided to create the first
Mm-hmm.
2 books,
Yes.
I found a publisher, a local publisher, because I wanted to have the books with a local publisher, not somebody that an email that I don't, a big company that I have no clue who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I just a self-publisher company nearby in two in the next town here. But with the pandemic hit,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the small companies shut down and they closed. And I had we published with them my first 3 books, 4 books, and I didn't want to have I didn't want to leave my books orphan. So I opened my own publishing company just for my books, Luz del Mes Publishing Company.
Mm-hmm.
And I hosted my 4 books. And then, of course, I introduced and incorporate another books in the publishing. And what I did during the pandemic, I did 3 anthologies. I joined forces writing poems, and I did 3
Mm-hmm.
anthologies on authors around the world.
Yes. There was 30
We
of
were
them.
confined. We were confined. We didn't have we we were inside. So I started to communicate with authors in Europe, in Asia, in South America, Central America, here in the United States, in South and North America, and 30 of the authors that received, I sent, I don't know how many invitations, probably 50, and I received 30 replies with the submission was to submit 3 haiku uh, in honor of nature. And we started, I received the poems, and my goal was to translate it in 3 languages because the majority of the authors that respond speak English,
Yes.
but the other half Greek and and 25% Spanish. So I did the book in 3 languages:
That is awesome.
English, Spanish, and Greek.
Mm-hmm.
So we finished, and the authors were so excited. But after the pandemic, we were all like, okay, like the transition was kind of how we start again our world, everything. So I did the second book about our experience
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. And I was really in shock how in, in a short story all express their fears and feelings during the pandemic. Me just I opened this one and I'm going to say the name, but quarantine experience. How are you doing living in the new normal? What have you learned? It is important to assess our experience now that we are starting to reopen some parts of the world. Maybe we need to settle down, take a break, because contrary to our belief, we are not in control. I think we all felt the same, in the same boat.
Yes.
This person was from another side of the world. We were not in control. And what do you do when you are not in control, even of your own life?
That's right. Yes. Absolutely right. You know,
So the poems were inspiring, the stories were heartbreaking, especially for those who lost relatives and friends and or businesses. And so it was a very nice experience. This is the Luz del Mes 3 anthology. Had 3 books in the series. So we started, I wrote my poems about poetry, about nature, and then we decided to focus on world communication worldwide, a change of communication around the world with poetry and with our experiences.
yes. You know,
So that's why.
the nice thing too, Maritza, is that you under those bad situation, you took advantage of that opportunity, and you opened the
Well,
door for a lot of people to express what they were going through as well.
yes, because I was looking at the social media, on the news.
Yes.
And I said, I don't want to hear anything news. I'm going to focus on creating something, a venue for us to be together, to pray together, to write poetry together, and be inspired and be an inspiration for others that are facing the difficulty that we were facing at the time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you write to inspire, and also it's very educational and informative. So, because you also love nature.
Oh, well, yes, I'm a lover of nature, and I know I love your background.
Oh, thank you.
And yes, this is the well. Let me tell you, the love for nature. I think I always have it, but it was developed more during the pandemic
Yes.
because I decided to gardening during the pandemic. I bought some seeds and started planting. All die. This is so difficult. But then I realized, no, 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 I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try it again because I did so many wrong things at the beginning. I now had a beautiful garden with so many berry tomatoes and some spices and here and there, and also feeding the birds.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I was so surprised something happened so beautifully. It's like we are already, let's say, 4 years after the pandemic, and I had visitors like for 3 generations of birds coming to my house. Yesterday, 3 blue jays, baby blue jays, came, not with her mom, by themselves. So how do they know? So the mom asked them, okay, this is a place that you safely can eat.
Yes, that's right.
I
Yes.
was, oh my God, this is amazing
Yes,
how nature, fun, the circle of life is
that's
so
right.
pretty. Now I have so beautiful little birds coming,
That is great.
the new generation, 2024, coming to
That
my
is
garden.
that's wonderful. Now,
So
I
it was,
mhm.
mhm,
Now I like your book called The Purple Shell, though. I think that's you know from your daughter though, but that's something that she was able to connect with, and she'll never forget that.
no,
Just that little time, like a moment in time, and then you did the rest, and I think that's because she'll carry that on for the rest of her life as well. Those little
yes,
those little moments I think are very precious and very valuable. You know,
yes,
and then you carrying it through for others to enjoy and connect with as well. I mean, it's a domino. It's just she created it, you planted the seed, and then you grew. You know.
yes, yes, exactly. This is how I'm feeling about my stories. I
Mm-hmm.
did, that's it. And now she's developing a very nice drawing style, and I love it. And my son also is developing that skill. He speaks 3 languages, and that always he corrected me. Okay, mom, this is my editor, my my critic with my son, my
That,
husband.
that's
Yes.
great. Now your next book or your other book is called In Him I Rest. Let's talk about that because I think that says a lot too.
Yes. In Him I Rest, it's a book. Oh, where did I put it? I shared it with somebody. In Him I Rest is a book that during the pandemic I started to. It was a time for me to reflect. I think it was a time for a lot of people
Mm,
to reflect in life.
yes.
And one thing that I wanted to do that I didn't finish, it was have my master's for different reasons. I stopped my studies because the priority were my kids. They needed to finish their college and education and all that, and I was a full time mom. So I put on hold that area of my life. So by the time that the pandemic hit, they were already graduates, and my daughter started her doctorate. And I said, okay, this is my time for me. And I started, but I didn't want, I'm a teacher. I didn't want to have a master's in education by themselves only to be an administrator or an assistant principal or those areas, because I wanted to connect with something deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to take my master's in theology for educators.
Okay. Yes.
A
Nice.
huge challenge. It was a tremendous challenge because I took it in English, and it's so hard because English is my second language. But I graduate, and during the process of my studies, I learned so many things about my faith and other faiths and religion in general. And sometimes we have misunderstanding of things
Mm-hmm.
and doctrines and teachings. That's why we are so divided.
That's right. You're right.
And I said, but there is only, and when in the year 2020, reading the stories of my friends from different places of the world, when you don't have something to hold, something in somebody to rest
Mm-hmm.
in you, friends can go, friends can change, and that is someone in particular that you always can rest in him.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's God.
Yeah.
You can call it any name that you want to call it, doesn't matter. The thing is that you need to, for me, you need to rest in somebody that really never going to fail you.
Right.
It's always be on your side. So I started to create poems about the theological doctrines that I was learning that are so difficult to understand sometimes, but I put it in a simple words, very simple words, to understand big, deep meanings of doctrines. And I like it. And I like it. And then I started to put together uh, times of the church history that we celebrate, but we not even know why do we celebrate it. And I put it like in a story, in a storyline, and a story history, and and in the content of tradition, tradition of the faith, tradition of our lives, traditional history in general. And then I put all together with some prayers from the first century, third century, some very old prayers that are so beautiful. And they were translated from Greek to different languages or Hebrew. And well, the book was ready, and the title came very easy for me. In Him I Rest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in English and Spanish because all my literature is bilingual. Where did I put that book? I shared it with somebody, probably never returned it to me. It's not here. Okay.
Yeah. But you know, I think the big thing for you too, Maritza, is that you're an achiever. You want to learn. You're like a sponge where you want to absorb as much as you can, because that's why we have this thing called the brain. You know, there is so much to learn. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing
Yes.
too, you know, for you as well. I mean, like you said, English is really your second language,
Mm-hmm.
and so and for you to come here and not even speak English and to learn it, that's an achievement right there. You know, it's like anybody going to another country trying to learn their language. I mean, that's, you know, it's, you know, you have to learn it if you want to understand what people are talking about, and and so on. But I think overall, everything that you want to learn and you definitely are achieving, and you're a motivator, right? And I can tell that by talking with you, and I think that that's a huge thing to have, and that's where great leaders have too. Anybody can call themselves, yeah, I'm a supervisor, I'm a manager, or whatever, but a title and actually being one are two different things. you
Yes,
know
exactly.
and I think, and that's where I think going to college is a big thing too, is because there's so much to learn, and just having a education is one thing, but then to go beyond just your basics, especially going to something that was like, you had no idea, and but
Mm-hmm.
then conquering that. And
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, you're never too old or too young to learn. If you
No.
if you get up each day, that's an opportunity to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And to expand your horizons.
Exactly. Sometimes there are goals that you had in your life, but you always postpone it. No, later, later, but you don't know if the later is going to come.
That's correct.
So, is for me, I wanted to have my master for a particular year in my life because I wanted to achieve that for so many reasons. Personal reason first, of course, but also as an example for my children, because I, and for other people too. I wanted to inspire them and give them the courage to try it.
Hmm.
I know, and I have to say this: I was not the first one in my class. I think I was always the last one. But
But you're in
we
the
had
class.
it was a virtual classroom, Catholic. At that time, it was Catholic Distance University, a virtual school. Turned 40 years at the last year. And this year we changed at Catholic International University. And I have to say this because you said something about achievement, and it's totally true. I wanted two things in my life when I reached a certain age. I was thinking back, long time ago. I don't like to drive, so I wanted to work from home
Hmm.
and an online university and be a faculty member or any or administration or any position in a school system, but in a virtual school, virtual university in this case. So when I graduated, the day that I was graduating, the president offered me a position to open a department with the university
Wow.
in Spanish.
Mm.
So in Spanish, not in English, because my English is not 100% good to be an administrator for one department. And but my Spanish is really good.
Hmm.
And the reason for that, there are several reasons. At one point in some of the classes, I asked permission to write my essays in Spanish and then translate it into English. And I didn't expect the professors to correct my Spanish, but it was my baseline to create and develop my essays. They accepted me that option. And so, but at the same time, they knew that I have a very good Spanish.
Hmm.
And so they already had me in mind for
Nice.
that position when I was a graduate.
That is.
And I received the position the day that I graduated.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Oh, I was like, oh my God,
I'm gonna
I'm
have a.
graduating. Oh,
Oh, absolutely. That had to have been just that's one of those pinnacle moments in your life. I think that
yes,
you can't
yes,
describe. It is just
yes.
something that was like, yeah, this is so wonderful to happen. You know. That is
Yes. So I
fantastic.
work in the university, and as I said, I'm the manager of one department in Spanish that we are creating, putting together things. But my mission is to prepare students to be leaders and and to pass my skills to other students. And
Hmm.
this is my goal. This is what I'm doing.
That's great. It's a good feeling.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. Really, it is.
Yeah, and that's something that nobody can take away. You know,
Nope.
that is
Nope.
something that you achieved, and you know when you work hard at something, you know it's not always that you know you work hard and expect something. You know, it's that you work hard because you have that passion within you to achieve.
Yes. And when you do that, you really don't feel that you're working
You're right.
because
Exactly.
really you are enjoying what you're doing.
That's right.
Sometimes I forget how many hours I'm working because I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, putting together, translating, creating. And I created a virtual world in the teaching system that there are things that are not available. So I created them from scratch because I have in mind what I want,
Hmm.
and I put them together. So it's, yes, put together your creativity is something that keeps you always happy, enjoying what you're doing, and not feeling frustrated about going to work.
That's right. Because you figure about the, you know, how many people in this world get up every single day and work there and don't even like what they're doing.
Exactly,
And
exactly. And I didn't, I received several offers of jobs in the past, but I didn't want to end like that
yes, yes, yeah,
because life is, sometimes you don't have any option, you have to do it, but life is more than that. You have to take sometimes risk. Of course, I the benefits probably are not the same if I have receive another position or accepted another position that I have received the offerings, but is what really you want to feel happy about your life.
right.
And it's not the money. And sometimes we focus on the jobs that give us a lot of money to buy a lot of things, to have a lot of things. And those little, a lot of things, one day you don't bring it with you to the other side.
That's correct. Absolutely right. You know,
So,
life is not about how many things you can accumulate. You know,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So, with the little things that you have, if you are happy, that's what matters.
exactly right.
Really.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now,
Yes.
what advice can you provide to someone that wants to be an author?
It's difficult to get exactly an advice, somebody that wants to be an author, but what I would say is ask yourself, why do I want to be an author?
Hmm.
Put yourself in what kind of, be clear of what genre do you want to write? What is your passion? And because sometimes I, when I go to book fairs or when I go to events, they always ask me that question: how can I become an author? So I ask, what do you want to write? Well, I'm not sure. So if you are not sure from the beginning, what do you want to write? We are in the wrong track. First, you need to know what kind of genre you want. Is it children, fiction, this, that, that. I started writing my memoir. It's funny because when I went to the library, and the second thing is go to your local library and find writers book or workshops or any of those activities that the libraries has,
Mm-hmm.
because in the library you have a writers group, editors group, a conference, workshop, so many things. If you want to share, those groups are the groups that helps you
That's right.
find the way.
Yes.
I started my memoir. I published the books in 2010.
That's the Hazel Eyes.
Hazelized,
Yes.
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 And I did the edition. I edited the book in the with the group, and I pay an editor from the to do the final edition to publish the book. It was my first book in 2010. Amazing. And they were surprised that I was writing a memoir at some young age, because usually you write a memoir when you're 60, 17, something like that.
But I got a lot to talk about.
But yes, yes, I said, but I had in particular, a memoir is not your biography. A memoir is something in particular about your life that changed your life or your perspective or your direction in another way. So Hazel Eyes, you see this cloud.
Mm-hmm.
This is the center of the story and the reason my life changed. And of course, I'm not going to tell you what does it mean or what is Hazel Eyes, because you
Yeah.
need to know
You have to
reading
buy
the
the
book.
book.
Reading the book.
That's right.
And chapter 4 is the answer.
Oh.
But uh, that is when my life took this way to the other way. And my inspiration and my writing skill and everything developed from that moment. And so I started with memoir, and I thought it was going to be my first and my last book. I was not even going to publish this book. This book, it was only for my family,
Uh-huh.
to keep it on my computer as my legacy. But my editor, after finished the book, and I told her that I was not going to publish the book, it's just to have it in the computer for my kids when they get older, my family. I said, no, you have to publish that book, because this book show another perspective of life that we need to hear. And it's an inspirational book. I not even knew what it was an inspirational at that time. That genre in my mind, I didn't know. It was fiction, non-fiction. This is the only thing that I knew about writing. But when you say inspirational book, I said, well, let me see in which category is the inspirational book lands for. And I said, well, it's funny because it's a good it's a good tag for myself. I write to inspire others to be their best selves. Since this started from her, for my editor in 2010. This is my the tag
Yeah.
that I have in my social media. And this is my promo. So I said, okay, that's a very good idea. So I just published it. But when I went to the first event to read a few lines and to sell my book, I felt naked because I opened my soul to the world.
Mm-hmm.
I opened my life, spiritual life, and I was not ready really at that moment. So I stayed away of promotions or public appearance or come for nothing, book fair, nothing for several years until my friends and my family in Colombia asked me, why did you write the book, your first book in English? And I was thinking, why did I did that? And the reason that I did that is because, uh, let me put it in this way. When I pray, if I pray in English, I pray. But if I prayed in Spanish, I feel it.
Ah.
I feel the words.
Okay.
So I write in English because I don't feel the emotions.
Hmm.
So they asked me to translate it. So it took me 3 years because every time that I translate one chapter, I finish crying. And I had to stop for a whole week to clear my mind and everything. So
Yeah.
it took me a lot of time. And then in 2015, when everything was almost ready, I published another poetry book. And then in 2016, I published Ojos Avellana. That is the translation. A friend of mine that she read the draft, asked me to send it to Latin International Books Award
Mm-hmm.
uh, for the genre memoir, inspirational memoir, translation in the category of translation, best translation, inspirational memoir. And I won the first prize.
Wow.
I'm the
That,
International Latino Books Award 2016
well, congratulations. That's fantastic.
because of the translation. Because of the translation,
Mm-hmm.
not exactly for not exactly for the genre and the topic, but for the translation. And yes, I'm pay very close attention to the words, to the translation, to the meaning.
Sure.
It took
Sure.
me a lot of time to put this together.
Sure.
Um, and then I have a second prize for the topic for inspirational memoir.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So
Now, you have a website, correct, Maritza?
Luz del Mes.
And that's
L
where.
U it's only like LUZDELMES.
Okay.
Luz del Mes.
And that's where guests can
Inspiring
go.
only inspiration. Only inspiration is basically my goal. So you have I'm only poem, I'm only a reflection, a, um, free reading activities for kids, and poetry,
Nice.
and all my podcasts and videos and conferences and events and photos are there.
Fantastic. Now, you do you have any events coming up?
And the next one is in November
Mm-hmm.
in Melbourne.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
a book
Authors.
fair.
Yeah, the authors for authors.
Yeah, authors for authors. Yes. Oh
Excellent.
well, yes, you're part also too. Authors for authors. Yes. Yes.
Now, are you ready for the lightning round?
What is the? Oh yes, let's. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Do you believe in a glass is half full or half empty?
Half full.
Half full. Okay. Now, what is your favorite flower?
Roses.
Roses. Very nice.
Red roses.
Okay. Now, who is or was your mentor?
God.
God. Yeah. Now, what is your favorite subject?
Literature.
Literature. Very nice. Yes.
Hmm.
Now, as a reader, which is more favorable for you? Holding a book or in digital form?
Holding a book. I cannot change the digital.
Yeah.
Not yet. I need to flip the pages. I need to color code. I need to.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Oh, I
need
know.
to separate.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yes. Now, where is your most favorite vacation destination?
That I would like to go, or
Yes.
that already went.
Either one.
Wow, so many beautiful places that I have been, but I think the one that it was spectacular was Greece.
Oh,
Greek, the Greek culture and Greece and everything, and the food
oh, yes.
really
Oh, very nice.
was wonderful.
Now, what is your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday, I will say Christmas.
Christmas. Now,
Mhm.
now, who is your most enjoyable book author?
Ooh, I had several, but uh, oh yeah, I had too many. I had too many. Well, I I would say the all the writings from John Paul II.
Mm.
changed my perspective of things. So I will say John Paul II and the second Cardinal Ratzinger, the books as a Cardinal Ratzinger. Oh, wow. My goodness, wonderful.
So there was a lot of
How Benedict the 16th. Mhm.
oh, very nice. That's a good answer on that one. Now and finally, what subject would you like to learn more about?
I have so many in my list. I like to learn to Greek. I like to. I I'm 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 trying, but it's so difficult. Yes, Greek.
It's a culture you definitely enjoy.
Since I visit for the first place, yes, because the sensation and the emotion that I have. I love traveling, and I worked for 10 years in a travel industry, and I visit, I think, half of the world. But the sensation that I have in Greece, the whole experience, have never experienced that in another place in the world. And I have friends. I work with all these authors, and when I, I was doing the edition and I put it together, it was so difficult for me because sometimes I split the words and they correct me. No, no, you cannot split the word because it's only one word. So, oh my goodness, because all the symbols, all the everything. I say, okay, I had to learn, and I'm trying, but it's so hard. I don't
Yes.
know. When you're getting older, your brain is a little bit older too to
Yeah.
learn.
No, that's nice. So when you can travel and you can learn. I mean, there's so much in this world to understand, to learn, just even just traveling and or just connecting with nature. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because
Exactly.
nature, by itself, there's so much to understand and learn.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly.
because
Yes, it tells to you, but you have to be open to hear it.
that's correct. As a nature photographer myself, I've always loved being out in nature. Taking pictures and uh, wildlife, flowers, scapes. I mean, it's there's just so much to, and especially traveling, because it's so different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
having the opportunity to do so. I mean, I'm blessed for that. I mean, it's just because no matter where I go, it seems like I can take thousands of pictures. Because there's just so much that you want to absorb.
Mhm. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That is, yes, so special. Yes.
Yes. Well,
Mhm.
Maritza, this has been a great pleasure to have you on the author's table today.
Thank you. Nice for me too. And thank you so much for this opportunity that you're doing for all the authors to take your time. And this is awesome opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, of course, and I wish you the very best, and I know you're going to do very well, and you have been, and just keep it
Thank you.
up. And
Thank you.
of course, and I think too, with the marketing and everything, there's so much out there to to put yourself out there in your books, and I think that you're on the right track of especially jumping into you know your own uh, publishing and so on. It's not every author can have that ability to do that, and you know that. You know
Yes.
it.
I know. It takes time, and I took several, for example, for the authors that would like to start from the scratch and beginning. The libraries are a good source, but also the college sometimes provides workshops in writing and in
Mm.
promotion and marketing and so many.
Oh
So
yeah.
I did all of that when I started in 2010. So and when I was venturing to do open my Luz del Mes publishing company, I also took a few classes, not classes, those webinars that you can take several hours, something like that, on publishing company and the
Mm-hmm.
options and the option that I have and so on. and that's when I pick a publishing company that is a self-publishing company, and
Hmm.
I'm the CEO.
Well,
I can handle
yeah.
everything and manage myself.
That's right, absolutely. But I wish you the very best, and you're a fantastic woman that's definitely has a mission, and just keep it up.
Thank you, Brad. You also have a great mission
Thank you,
on your plate. Thank you.
thank you, and you take care. And if anything that you are pursuing that's new and that want to get on the back on the program, please reach out, and I'll make sure.
Okay, perfect. Yes, well, I will
Okay,
keep you posted on my next project. It
excellent.
will be for next year. For
That's
now,
oh,
I have to
yeah,
put it
keep.
out together and we're ready to go out. Yes.
That's awesome. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome, and you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in November.
Yes, yes, yes. This is something changed. Well,
Yeah,
you never know. That
yeah,
it's a difficult time because it's before Thanksgiving. So
sure.
and in the middle of, I hope I can go. If not, I have to. Well, the good option is that you can send your books and
That's
you
right.
can be virtual. So
Absolutely.
I'll be there in person or
That's
virtually,
right.
but I'll be there.
Fantastic. Well, all right, Maritza,
Yes.
you have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Brad.
You're very
Blessings
welcome.
and thank you all
Okay.
your audience for your great job. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Bye
very
bye.
welcome. Okay, bye bye.